Hello, and welcome to the presentation for Group 3, which will be reviewing Chapter 8 of the text. Chapter 8 covers the topic of technology for control, social business, and big data. As the world moves forward with technological advances, people have learned to utilize these new developments to make life easier, both personally and in the workplace. Organizations and businesses today need to be able to adapt to new technologies and practices or risk being overcome by competitors. Businesses now have added capabilities to interact with customers or employees more efficiently with the use of new technology, and are also able to use this new technology to compile data which will look at developing trends that the company could use to get ahead. Our group will be looking at these various applications technology has brought to today's companies. We will be looking how social media has increased the capacity for customer interaction and crisis management, marketing, company updates, and external communications, and their role with their increased capabilities with technology, the concept of big data and data mining to look at developing trends, how technology has influenced internal communications, and how it can be utilized for hiring and human resources purposes. Before we get into the heavy stuff, here's a light-hearted video showing the extent which technology has invaded the lives of today's population. With that, let's get started, and I hope you enjoy our presentation. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Maria Johnson and I will be discussing the business application of social media for customer service and crisis management. To begin, I'd like to start with the history of customer service, and I could go all the way back to the 1800s with the invention of the telephone, but I will fast forward to the 70s and 80s with the breakthrough of IVR. IVR stands for Interactive Voice Response, and this is essentially the automated voices we still hear today. In 1989, call center outsourcing was finally considered a formal customer service strategy, although the idea actually originated in the 60s. Outsourcing customer service operations became standard practice for companies searching for cost-effective strategies. By 1996, the internet had been around for about 5 years, and internet use and instant messaging had grown enough to allow businesses to utilize email and one-on-one chat to personally interact with customers. In the early 2000s, customer support software began to emerge, and by 2008, customer-oriented businesses saw an opportunity through social media to connect with both happy and unhappy customers in a more personal and very public manner. This opportunity through social media has become more than just a platform for marketing and advertising and PR and corporate communication. According to the 2016 Sprout Social Index, 90% of surveyed consumers have used social media in some way to communicate with a brand. Over a third of them said they preferred social media to the traditional channels like phone and email. Social media is one of the most public ways that a brand will interact with people online. Followers will be vocal, and prospective customers will be watching and making decisions about whether they'd like to do business. To show just how big of an impact social media has on a brand and its consumers are these surprising statistics. 67% of companies believe that social customer service should be a major short-term priority. 40 to 20% is how much more consumers are willing to spend once they've had a positive interaction with a brand. And 60% of consumers who use social media for customer service expect a response in an hour or less. And by 2020, 90% of all customer service will be on social media. So the name of the game is customer service through social media. One of the first challenges to providing great customer service is determining where to focus time and resources. While marketing efforts may drive traffic to targeted social sites, customer service teams must meet their customers where they're already socializing. Once they know where customers are, listen to them. Depending on how much volume a brand's social media generates, it's an important part of the job to collect and analyze activity so that the company may understand the kind of issues being raised. Speaking of that volume, tracking and managing it will affect the ability to keep track of social inquiries. And finally, time is of the essence. Speed of response is critical, but speed isn't everything if a company cannot resolve the customer's issue. As a general guideline, if a brand can easily answer a question in the space of a comment or tweet, and the answer can be public, then do it. But more important than providing an answer through the same channel is providing a timely and correct answer. Neglecting to provide a first response over social media can have staggering consequences. This is where crisis management comes into play. Customer service is often the first line of defense when it comes to reputation. We've all had an awful customer service experience, whether it was in person, over the phone, through email, or now on social media. There are 3 common elements to a crisis. The organization recognizes a threat, the threat comes as a surprise, and they have a short amount of time to take action. There are 3 steps to crisis management on social media: acknowledgement, assessment, and action. The first step is having an awareness when there is a crisis that affects the company. Whether it's a bad batch of product or another mistake that has people angry or upset, do not wait for it to spiral before addressing the issue. That's where the next step comes in: assessment. The crisis plan should contain some type of way that employees can assess the crisis. By listening and understanding, the team can gauge where they need to start. And then action. Stop everything. Stop all scheduled posts and social ads until there is a proper plan in place. The last thing a brand wants to happen is giving off the impression that the agenda is to promote the product and increase bottom line in the midst of an emergency. This is especially important if there is a responsibility to keep the public informed. Taking action in the form of being human, informative, and tonally appropriate can ensure that a brand has some influence on steering the direction in conversation. Crisis planning should be a part of any social media engagement strategy. I'd like to conclude with 2 quick examples of good and bad social media customer service and crisis management in action. The first bad example occurred with United Airlines when Flight 3411 was announced as overbooked. The company decided to choose passengers randomly. 2 passengers left and 1 refused. He said he was a doctor and needed to get to his patients. When he refused to leave the plane, he was forcefully dragged from his seat and struck in the process. The crisis started when a cell phone recording of the incident was published on social media. The statement on the right is the CEO's apology for having to reaccommodate the customer. This statement provoked a new wave of crisis. United's social media audience accused them of being disrespectful and misidentifying the cause of the problem. United was aware of the crisis, quick to respond, acknowledged their responsibility in keeping the public informed, but failed to remain sensitive, informative, and tonally appropriate in their actions. And finally, a good example of crisis management. Earlier this year, GitLab's developers accidentally removed clients' data from their database. Several backup attempts failed, and GitLab.com was unavailable for 18 hours. The crisis started the moment GitLab announced the issue through social media. They gave a detailed explanation on how they planned to fix it, and after the incident was solved, they published the lessons they learned. The issue was so serious that GitLab asked the professional community for help. They restored access to the data in a live format so that everyone could participate. In conclusion, I'd like to review the main components of successful social media customer service and crisis management. For successful customer service, it's important to be where customers already are. Listen to them and gather information on what they're talking about, and respond timely and correctly. A similar set of steps can be applied to crisis management. Acknowledge the crisis, understand and implement the crisis plan, and take appropriate action. Thank you for listening.
Hello, My name is Joe Burns, and I'm presenting on the use of social media in marketing.
Hello everyone, my name is
social
Maria
media
Johnson
marketing
and I
is
will be
defined as
discussing
a
the
process
business
by which
application of
companies
social
create,
media for
communicate,
customer
and deliver
service and
online
crisis
marketing
management.
offerings via social
To
media
begin, I'd like to
platforms
start with the
build
history of
and
customer
maintain
service, and I could
stakeholder
go all the way
relationships
back
that
to the
enhance stakeholder
1800s with the
value
invention of the
by
telephone,
facilitating
but I will fast
interaction,
forward to the
communication,
70s and
offering
80s with the
personalized
breakthrough
purchase
of IVR.
recommendations, and word of
IVR
mouth
stands for Interactive
communication
Voice Response,
among
and this is essentially
stakeholders
the automated
about
voices we
existing
still
and
hear
trending
today.
products and services.
In 1989, call center
Social media
outsourcing
marketing
was finally
provides a
considered a
level
formal
of
customer
engagement
service
and
strategy,
precise targeting
although the
of
idea
marketers
actually
and
originated in the
social media.
60s.
It helps marketers
Outsourcing customer
fulfill
service
the
operations
primary
became standard
objectives
practice
of
for
marketing,
companies searching for
which are
cost-effective
discovering the needs
strategies.
of customers
By
and determining how to
1996, the internet
satisfy
had been
their
around
needs.
for about 5 years, and internet use and instant
So
messaging
social
had
media
grown
marketing
enough to allow
differs from
businesses to
traditional
utilize
media
email and
marketing
one-on-one
in that
chat to
instead
personally
of
interact
promotional
with
messages
customers.
being received
In the early
passively via
2000s,
social
customer
media,
support software
in social
began to
media, the
emerge, and by
receivers are
2008,
active, and a
customer-oriented
marketing
businesses saw an
managers that
opportunity
recipients
through
will
social
receive
media
and act
to
as
connect with both
ambassadors
happy and
for their
unhappy
brand.
customers in a more personal
User-generated
and very
content is
public manner.
relatively inexpensive to create, publish, and
This
access,
opportunity
and
through
to
social
deliver
media
a
has become
consistent
more than
engaged
just a
response.
platform for marketing
Here
and
we have an
advertising and
example of
PR and
user-generated
corporate
content in a
communication.
tweet of an
According to the
old Miss Bob Dylan
2016
picture
Sprout
decked out
Social
in
Index,
19
90% of surveyed consumers
content
have
was
used social media
generated
in some way
by
to communicate with a
user
brand.
instead of
Over a third of
marketing
them said they
executive. It
preferred
helps
social
promulgate
media
the
to the traditional
brand
channels
with the
like
inclusion
phone
of
and
the
email.
Nike
Social media is one of the most
In 10
public ways that a
hours,
brand
this
will
user
interact with
generated
people
48
online.
favorites and 60
Followers will be vocal,
retweets
and prospective
of the
customers will be
original post.
watching and
That's
making
pretty
decisions
impressive
about
reach
whether they'd like
of
to do
Nike's
business.
brand without having to pay for it.
To show just how big of an impact social media has on a
The
brand
big
and its
breakout in
consumers
social
are these
media
surprising
marketing and a tool
statistics.
that businesses
67% of
use
companies
began
believe
in
that
November
social customer
2007,
service
when
should be a
Facebook
major
first
short-term
allowed
priority.
businesses to
40 to
create
20% is
Facebook
how much more
pages.
consumers
At
are
the
willing
time,
to spend
Facebook
once they've had a
approximately
positive
55
interaction
million
with a
users
brand.
worldwide,
And
and
60%
shortly
of
after
consumers who
announcing
use
the
social
offer,
media for
over
customer
100,000
service
pages
expect a
for
response in an hour or
businesses
less.
were created.
And by 2020,
Around the same
90% of
time,
all customer
Facebook
service will be
started
on
its
social
social
media.
ads program, allowing companies
So the name of the game
purchase
is
promotions
customer
that would
service
show
through
up in
social
news
media.
feeds
One of the
of
first
people
challenges to
who
providing
are
great customer service is determining where to focus time and resources.
worldwide.
While marketing
social
efforts may drive
advertising
traffic
spending
to targeted
has
social
increased
sites, customer service teams
nearly
must meet their
$31 billion
customers where they're
was
already
spent on
socializing.
social advertising.
Once they know where
And
customers
on the
are,
right, you
listen
can
to
see
them.
data
Depending on how much
advertising
volume a
revenues
brand's
selected
social
social
media
advertising
generates,
in the
it's an
United
important
States.
part of the
In
job to
2016,
collect and
Facebook
analyze
generated
activity
nearly
so that the
$12
company may
billion
understand the
in
kind of
social
issues
media
being
advertising
raised.
revenues.
Speaking of that
And
volume,
is by
tracking and
far the
managing
largest
it will
player
affect
in
the
social
ability to
media,
keep
with
track
over
of social
2 billion
inquiries.
users.
And finally, time is of the essence. Speed of response is critical, but speed isn't everything if a company
And
cannot
all
resolve the
that
customer's
spending
issue.
seems appropriate
As a general
on a
guideline, if a
second
brand can
shift.
easily answer a
Social media
question in the
marketing
space of a
awards,
comment or
according to a
tweet, and the
comprehensive
answer can be
2015 study
public, then
conducted
do
in
it.
Europe,
But more
social
important than providing an
recommendations
answer through the
reduced
same
an average
channel
of
is providing a
26% of
timely and
purchases
correct
across all
answer.
product categories. Two-thirds of
Neglecting
the
to
impact
provide a
was
first
direct,
response
as
over
in
social media
made
can have
a
staggering
critical role at the
consequences.
point of
This is where
purchase,
crisis
and
management comes into
one-third of the
play.
impact was
Customer
indirect,
service is
such
often the
that
first line of
recommendation
defense when it comes
influenced
to
the final decision
reputation. We've
by
all had
doing
an
things
awful
like
customer
creating initial
service
awareness.
experience,
This graph
whether
on the
it was in
right
person,
is
over the
definition
phone,
on
through
social
email,
media
or
sites
now
most
on social
likely to be
media.
used for
There are
advertising
3
on
common
Internet.
elements to a crisis.
For the first quarter
The
of
organization
2017,
recognizes a threat, the threat comes as a
54%
surprise,
US
and they have a short
advertising
amount of
agencies
time to take
were likely to
action.
use YouTube and Instagram respectively.
There are 3 steps to
Client
crisis
campaigns
management on
reflecting the
social
importance
media:
of digital
acknowledgement,
content for
assessment,
promotions,
and action.
which is 40
The first step
times
is
more
having an
likely to
awareness when there
share
is a crisis that
than
affects a
other types of
company.
content.
Whether it's a bad batch of product or another mistake that has people angry or upset, do not wait for it to spiral before addressing the issue. That's where the next step comes in: assessment. The crisis plan should contain some type of way that employees can assess the crisis. By listening and understanding, the team can gauge where they need to start. And then action. Stop everything. Stop all scheduled posts and social ads until there is a proper plan in place. The last thing a brand wants to happen is giving off the impression that the agenda is to promote the product and increase bottom line in the midst of an emergency. This is especially important if there is a responsibility to keep the public informed. Taking action in the form of being human, informative, and tonally appropriate can ensure that a brand has some influence on steering the direction in conversation. Crisis planning should be a part of any social media media
audience
engagement
segments
strategy.
that are likely those of competitors.
I'd like
as
to
well.
conclude with two quick examples of good and bad social media customer
To
service and
maximize the
crisis
effectiveness
management
of
in
your
action.
social media
The
marketing,
first bad
there are
example
a few
occurred with United Airlines when
One is
Flight
the use
3411
of
was
Void
announced as
Advertising, which is
overbooked.
inviting
The
coworkers
company
to share
decided to
brand
choose
messaging
passengers
on their own
randomly.
social
2 passengers
media
left and 1
accounts
refused.
as
He
a
said he
way
was
to
a
further
doctor and needed to
disseminate
get to his
marketing messages
patients.
to a wider
When he
audience
refused to
at
leave the
less
plane, he
cost.
was forcefully
Studies
dragged from his
show
seat
that
and struck in the
early
process.
posts have
The
a
crisis started when a cell phone
much
recording of the
engagement
incident
and
was
are
published on
reshared
social
25
media.
times more
The
frequently.
statement on the right is the
Lastly,
CEO's apology
there is more
for
emphasis
having to
on
reaccommodate the
increased
customer.
use of user-generated
This statement
content.
provoked a
We have
new wave of
promotions to start with
crisis.
the end user
United's social media
of
audience
products
accused them of
as
being
opposed to the
disrespectful
company.
and misidentifying the
User-generated
cause of the
content is a
problem.
way to build ties with
United was
customers
aware of
while
the crisis,
bringing
quick
on
to
users
respond,
to crowdsource
acknowledged their
inspiration
responsibility in
and
keeping the
creativity
public
at the same
informed,
time.
but failed to
It's also a
remain
way to
sensitive,
scale brand
informative, and
collaborations
tonally
that
appropriate in their
include
actions.
posts from companies.
And
Inspiring
finally, a good
user-generated
example
content
of
can be
crisis
tricky,
management.
but one
Earlier
way
this
is
year,
through
GitLab's
the
developers
use of
accidentally
context.
removed
For
clients'
example,
data from their
Hootsuite,
database.
which is an online
Several backup
marketing
attempts
application,
failed, and GitLab.com was
and
unavailable for 18
its
hours.
hashtag I
The
work
crisis
for
started the
campaign
moment
highlight
GitLab
how
announced the
the
issue
Hootsuite
through social
app
media.
lets
They gave a
businesses
detailed
manage
explanation
social
on how they
media
planned to
on the
fix
go.
it, and after the
They
incident
received
was
more than
solved, they published the
1,400
lessons
entries
they
to win
learned.
round-trip flights
The issue
anywhere
was
in
so
the world.
serious that GitLab
As a
asked the
result,
professional
2.2
community
million
for
people
help.
a day
They
saw
restored
the
access to the
post.
data
That
in a live
translates to
format
more
so
than
that everyone
2,000
could
monthly
participate.
users. These campaigns aren't without risk, but
In
careful
conclusion,
execution
I'd like to
can
review
help
the main
further
components of
disseminate
successful
brand
social
messaging.
media customer service and crisis
Thanks for listening.
management. For successful customer service,
Hello,
it's
my
important
name
to
is
be
Blake
where
Brooks,
customers
and
already
today
are.
I will be
Listen to them and
taking
gather
you
information on what they're
the
talking
business
about, and
applications
respond timely and
of
correctly.
social media.
A similar set of steps
internal
can be applied to
communication.
crisis management. Acknowledge the crisis,
So there are two
understand and
major
implement the crisis
differentiations in
plan,
types of
and
internal
take appropriate
communication.
action.
On the left, we have
Thank you for
horizontal versus
listening.
vertical internal communication. For horizontal communication, this is communication between coworkers of the same level of hierarchy.
Hello everyone, my name is
And
Maria
for
Johnson and I will be
vertical,
discussing the
communication,
business application of
there's
social
both
media for
downward
customer
and upward
service and
communication,
crisis
and
management.
this communication
To
that
begin, I'd like
flows,
to start with the history
through
of
the chain of
customer
command.
service,
So,
and
like,
I could go all the way back to the
upward
1800s with the
communication would
invention
be
of the
you
telephone,
talking to your boss,
but I will
and
fast
downward
forward
would
to
be
the
your boss
70s and
talking to
80s with the breakthrough of IVR.
The other
IVR stands for
differentiation would be
Interactive
formal
Voice
versus
Response, and this is essentially the automated
Informal is
voices we
like
still hear today.
rumors.
In 1989, call center
Sort of like
outsourcing was
other
finally
news that isn't,
considered a
you know,
formal customer
directly
service strategy,
recognized
although the
by the
idea
company.
actually
So, for
originated in the
instance,
60s.
a example of
Outsourcing
informal
customer service
communication would
operations
be
became
you
standard
finding
practice for
different coworkers
companies
on a
searching
Tinder
for
account,
cost-effective
because that's
strategies.
not recognized
By
the company.
1996, the internet had been
Formal
around for about 5
communication would be
years, and internet use and instant
communication
messaging had
through
grown enough to allow
Facebook
businesses
that
to utilize
is
email
run by
and
the
one-on-one
company,
chat to
or
personally
an
interact with
intranet that is
customers.
run by the company.
In the early 2000s, customer support software
The next
began to
question is, how
emerge, and by
companies use
2008,
social
customer-oriented
media
businesses saw an
to
opportunity through social
successfully
media
communicate
to connect with
between
both happy
employees.
and unhappy customers in
Start
a more
out,
personal and very
what is a
public
social
manner.
business? A social business is a business that uses
This
social
opportunity
media
through social media
to
has become
communicate
more
between
than just a
customers
platform
and
for marketing
stakeholders
and
and its
advertising and
employees.
PR and
But
corporate
for the purpose of this section,
communication.
we're just really gonna
According
talk
to the
about how the
2016
employees
Sprout
use
Social
media
Index,
to
90% of
communicate.
surveyed consumers have used social media in some way to
For
communicate
this
with a
section, we're
brand.
going to use
Over a
Nokia
third
as
of them
an
said they
example.
preferred social media to the
Nokia
traditional
uses
channels like
Blog
phone
Hub,
and
instant
email.
messaging, and
Social
Video
media is
Hub
one of the most public
as
ways
social
that a brand will
media
interact with
to
people online.
communicate
Followers will be vocal, and
between
prospective
employees
customers
all
will be
across the
watching
world.
and making decisions about whether they'd like to do
Why
business.
social media is such a good option for this
To show just how big of an
instead of
impact
meetings
social
where everyone
media
has to be
has on a
available
brand
at the
and
same
its
time.
consumers are these surprising
Social media,
statistics.
with instant messaging,
67%
you
of
can check,
companies
after you're
believe
done
that
with your
social
daily
customer
tasks.
service
And really
should be a
allows
major short-term priority.
sort of
40 to
a
20% is how much more
fluid
consumers are
movement
willing to
of
spend once
information
they've had a positive
throughout the
interaction with a brand. And 60% of
Also,
consumers
another
who
bonus
use
of
social
using
media for customer service
social
expect a
media
response in an
is
hour or
that
less.
you can sort of
And by
supersede
2020,
the chain of
90%
command,
of all customer
and you don't
service
have
will be
to
on
directly
social
go to your
media.
boss or have your boss
So the name of the game
ask the
is
expert.
customer service
You
through
can
social
go on a
media.
blog
One of the first
and
challenges
ask a
to
question.
providing great
The
customer
expert will
service
directly
is determining
respond
where to
to you,
focus time and
which is really
resources.
a great way
While marketing efforts may
for
drive traffic
the
to
tactical
targeted
knowledge
social
to get
sites,
shared throughout your
customer
company.
service
And
teams
technical
must meet their customers where they're already socializing. Once they know where customers are, listen to
included
them.
in SOP.
Depending on
More
how much
knowledge of,
volume
like,
a brand's
dynamic.
social media generates,
So
it's an important part of the
asking a
job to
specific
collect and
question
analyze
or
activity
videos
so
are
that
a
the
great way to
company
share
may
this
understand the
technical
kind of
knowledge
issues
throughout
being
your
raised.
company.
Speaking of that
Another
volume,
bonus of
tracking
social
and
media
managing it will affect
is
the ability to
expert
keep
locator
track of
systems.
social
Expert
inquiries.
locator systems
And finally,
allow you to
time is of the essence.
search
Speed of response is
specific
critical, but speed isn't
category,
everything if a company
and it
cannot
will produce
resolve the
the experts
customer's
in that
issue.
category that are
As a
located
general
in the company.
guideline, if a brand
So you
can
can
easily
ask
answer a question in the space of a
questions,
comment or tweet,
and,
and the answer can be
you
public,
get an
then
answer
do it.
from an
But more
expert.
important than providing an answer through the same channel is providing a timely and correct
The next
answer.
step in using social media
Neglecting to provide a
for
first
internal
response over
business
social media
communication
can have
is to
staggering
really analyze the
consequences.
communication
This is where
itself.
crisis
This is the
management comes
social
into play.
analysis.
Customer service is often the first line
In
of
our previous
defense when it
example
comes
with
to
Nokia,
reputation.
people
We've all
would
had an
create
awful
blogs
customer
and
service
videos,
experience,
um,
whether it was in
and post them
person,
up
over the
on
phone, through
internet
email, or now
for the
on
company.
social media.
Well, social network
There are three
analysis
common elements to a
would
crisis.
pretty much
The organization
stalk the
recognizes a
employees of
threat,
company
the
and
threat
see
comes as a
who's
surprise,
contacting
and they have a
who
short
on
amount of
blogs.
time to take
If
action.
somebody posts up a video, it would be how many
There are three
hits did
steps
that
to
video
crisis
get?
management on
People
social
rewatching
media:
the video,
acknowledgement,
valuable
assessment, and
information,
action.
or
The first
people
step is
comment.
having an awareness when there is a
Social
crisis that
network
affects a
analysis is
company.
a way
Whether
to
it's a
really
bad batch
understand
of
the
product or another
relationships
mistake that
within
has
your
people
company
angry or upset,
and
do
determine
not
really
wait
who
for
the
it to
natural
spiral
leaders
before
are in
addressing the issue.
information hubs
That's where the next step comes
based
in:
on
assessment.
quantities
The crisis
of
plan should contain some type of way that employees
communication
can assess the crisis.
and
By
who
listening and
communicating
understanding,
with leaders
the
and
team can
information
gauge where they need to start. And then
So
action.
overall, social network
Stop
analysis
everything.
really creates
Stop all scheduled
a
posts and
general
social ads
structure
until there is a
of
proper plan in
the social
place.
network
The
within
last
your
thing a
company.
brand wants to happen is
And,
giving off the
this can
impression
be
that the
used to
agenda is to
determine
promote
if
the
your
product
company
and
has a
increase bottom
functional
line
or
in the midst of an
dysfunctional network
emergency.
structure.
This is especially important if there is a responsibility to
Using
keep the
social
public
media for
informed.
an internal
Taking action in the
business
form of being
communication
human, informative, and tonally appropriate can ensure that a
increase the
brand has some
effectiveness of the
influence on
communication
steering the direction in
itself.
conversation.
Social media
Crisis
is
planning
fast,
should be a part of any
it's
social media
personable with
engagement
videos,
strategy.
It's geographically
I'd like to
appropriate
conclude
for
with
being
two
in the
quick
same spot.
examples of good and bad
And for a
social
lot of
media
it's
customer
simple
service and
because
crisis
we use it
management in
every day.
action. The first
The
bad
next step would
example
really be
occurred with
network
United
analysis,
Airlines when
which
Flight
allows the company to
3411 was
determine who
announced
the
as
natural
overbooked.
leaders are,
The company
who the
decided to
experts
choose
are,
passengers
and if
randomly.
their
2
communication
passengers left and
network
one
within their
refused.
company
He
is
said he was a
functional
doctor
or
and needed to get to his
dysfunctional.
patients. When he refused to leave the plane, he was forcefully dragged from his seat and struck in the process. The crisis started when a cell phone recording of the incident was published on social
Hello,
media.
my name is Danielle
The statement
Dewey,
on the
and
right is the
I will be
CEO's apology
discussing
for
threats
having
posed
to
by social media
re-accommodate
to
the customer.
businesses.
This statement
We all
provoked
know
a new
what
wave of
social media
crisis.
is, but
United
many of
social
us don't
media
realize
audience
how
accused them of
threatening
being
social media
disrespectful
can
and
be
misidentifying the
to
cause of the
organizations'
problem.
health.
United was aware of the crisis, quick to respond, acknowledged their responsibility in keeping the public informed, but failed to remain sensitive, informative, and
If we think
tonally
of
appropriate in their
An
actions.
organization as an individual.
And finally,
You have
a
to
good
think
example
about
of
how
crisis
that individual
management.
behaves
Earlier
in
this
public.
year, GitLab's
And
developers
in today's
accidentally
day and
removed
age,
clients'
social
data
media
from their
is a public
database.
environment.
Several backup attempts failed, and
regardless of the
GitLab.com was
size of an
unavailable for 18
organization,
hours.
the way you behave
The crisis started the
and
moment
engage in
GitLab
this
announced
public
the issue through
environment
social
that is
media.
the social
They gave a
media
detailed explanation on
world
how they planned to fix it,
will
and after the
affect
incident
your
was
business
solved,
and
they
how it is
published the
perceived by
lessons
the
they
public.
learned. The issue was so serious that GitLab asked the professional community for help. They restored access to the data in a live
history of
format so
threats
that
to
everyone
social
could
media.
participate.
So, I know that everyone has discussed a little
In
bit
conclusion,
about the
I'd
history
like
of
to
social
review the
media,
main
but I found
components of
this
successful
graphic
social
in an
media
article
customer
from the Journal of
service
Computer
and crisis
Media
management.
Communication. And I
For successful
really loved
customer service, it's
because
important to be
when
where
people
customers
think of
already
social
are.
media today,
Listen to
they
them and
generally
gather
think of
information on what they're
Facebook
talking
and
about,
Twitter
and respond timely and
Snapchat.
correctly. A
And
similar set of
LinkedIn.
steps can be applied
But
to
really
crisis
there are so
management.
many other
Acknowledge the crisis,
social networking
understand and
sites,
implement the crisis
in the
plan,
short
and take
history
appropriate
of
action.
social media.
Thank you for listening.
I can look here and see that I had memberships to several of these that are completely archaic now, such as tribe.net.
Hello everyone, my name
MySpace,
is
and
Maria Johnson
most
and I will
people
be
don't even think
discussing
of
the
Flickr
business
or
application of
YouTube
social media for
as
customer
a
service and crisis
social media
management. To begin, I'd like to start with the
environment.
history of
But
customer
they are,
service,
and
and
they're
I
all
could go all the way
places
back
where
to the 1800s with
consumers
the
can
invention of the
discuss your
telephone.
organization's
But I will
brand.
fast forward to the
Or
70s and 80s with the breakthrough of IVR.
Employees' current
IVR stands for
future
interactive
or
voice
past.
response,
Can
and
you
this is
talk about your
essentially the automated
organization's
voices
brand?
we still hear today.
And
In 1989, call center outsourcing
you
was
as
finally
an
considered a formal customer
organization
service
can reach
strategy,
out
although the idea
promote
actually originated
your
in the
brand
60s.
positively or hurt it.
Outsourcing customer service operations became standard practice for companies searching for cost-effective strategies.
Some social media
By
sites that
1996,
aren't
the
listed on
internet
this
had been
timeline
around for
are
about 5
Pinterest,
years,
Instagram,
and internet
and
use and
Snapchat.
instant messaging had grown enough to allow businesses to utilize email and one-on-one chat to personally interact with customers.
How is social
In the
media
early
spread?
2000s, customer
According
support
to a
software began to
2015
emerge,
paper
and by
in the Journal of
2008,
Direct Data and
customer-oriented
Digital
businesses
Marketing
saw an
Practice,
opportunity
there's
through
three
social
main
media
sources of social media
to connect
threats
with
to
both happy
businesses.
and unhappy
Threats from
customers in a more personal
consumer-generated
and very
content.
public
So,
manner.
These can include things like
This
Yelp
opportunity through
reviews,
social media has
where-
become more
or
than just a
Google
platform for
reviews,
marketing
where
and
a
advertising and
consumer
PR and
will go
corporate
and just
communication.
bash
According to
your
the
product or
2016
service
Sprout Social
and
Index,
influence
90% of
future
surveyed consumers have used social
negatively
media
towards
in
your
some way to
product.
communicate with
This
a
can also
brand.
include,
Over a third of
Twitter
them said they preferred social
or
media to the traditional
Facebook
channels
sites
like
for your
phone and
company.
email.
These are
Social media is one of the most public ways
that
that a
an
brand will interact with people
unsatisfied
online.
consumer
Followers will be vocal, and
can
prospective customers will be watching and making decisions about
against
whether
a
they'd like to do
company.
business.
or organization.
To show just how big of an impact social media has on a brand and its
The second
consumers
type
are
of
these
threat that
surprising
social media can
statistics.
pose to businesses
67% of
is
companies
employees
believe that social
These
customer
include
service
postings to
should be a major short-term
websites such as
priority.
Glassdoor.com,
40 to
where an
20% is how much
employee
more
can
consumers
rate
are
or
willing to
review
spend
the
once they've had a
quality of
positive
the working
interaction with a
environment or
brand.
the salary
And
scale.
60% of consumers who use social media for
with
customer
regards to
service
different
expect a
companies
response
that
in an
can
hour or
influence whether
less.
individuals will want
And by
to work with those
2020,
companies in the
90% of
future.
all customer service
This
will
can
be
also
on social
include
media.
Examples like the individuals that
So the name of the
posted a
game
video
is
at a fast
customer
food
service
restaurant
through
of
social
violating health
media.
code standards
One of
and
the
posted
first
it to
challenges
YouTube.
to providing great customer service is determining where to focus time and resources. While marketing efforts may drive
Also,
traffic to
social
targeted
media
social
threats from
sites,
employees
customer
would
service
be
teams
that
must
if
meet their
a
customers where they're already
well-known
socializing.
employee of an
Once they know where
organization with
customers
a very public
are,
social media
listen to them.
presence
Depending
and
on how much
chooses to
volume a
post
brand's
some
social media generates is an
embarrassing,
important part of the job to collect and analyze activity
photos
so
or
that the company may
videos or
understand the kind of
commentary
issues being raised.
publicly
Speaking of that
to the
volume,
world,
tracking and managing
then
it will
that
affect the
can, in
ability to
turn,
keep
look
track of
back
social
on the
inquiries.
organization.
And finally, time is of the essence. Speed of response is critical, but speed isn't everything if a company cannot resolve the
The third
customer's
type of
issue.
threat that social media
As a
can
general
pose to
guideline, if a brand can
business
easily
is
answer a
the
question in the
lack
space of a
team
comment or
or
tweet,
policy
and the
that
answer
is
can be public,
dedicated
then do it.
to the
But more
subject of
important than
social
providing
media
an answer through the same
communication.
channel is
So
providing a
if
timely
global
and correct
crisis
answer.
occurs or a publicity
Neglecting to provide a
then
first
an
response over
organization
social
has
media can have
something in
staggering
place to handle
consequences.
that and
This is
react
where
to that
crisis management
appropriately.
comes into play. Customer service is often the first line of defense when it comes to reputation. We've all had an awful customer service experience,
If the
whether
threats
it
that
was in
social media
person,
poses
over the
to an
phone, through
organization are
email,
too
or
broad,
now
then
on
the
social media.
responses to those
There are
threats
three
need to
common
be
elements to a
as well.
crisis.
So
The
some
organization
recommendations
recognizes a threat, the threat comes as a
can be
surprise,
applied
and they have a
to
short amount of
those
time to take
organizations
action.
would be to have a dedicated organization
There are
plan
3 steps to crisis
combat
management on social
the
media:
3 types of
acknowledgement,
social media
assessment,
threats.
and action.
It also dedicated
The first step is
personnel
having
that
an
can
awareness
focus
when there
now
is a
whether
crisis that affects a
that is
company.
a
Whether it's a
individual
bad
or
batch of
individual
product or another
solely
mistake that has
position
people
in
angry or
the
upset,
organization,
do
or
not
whether
wait
it
for
is
it to
just
spiral before addressing
I
the
will tell you when you
issue.
can
That's
do
where the
some
next
among
step
their
comes
other
in:
duties
assessment.
would be
The crisis
go-to
plan should
person
contain
who's
some type of way that
responsible to
employees
combat
can assess
social
the
media
crisis.
then
By listening and
that will depend on the
understanding,
size of
the team can gauge where they need to
All
start.
organizations need
And then
to
action.
monitor social
Stop
networks
everything.
so that they
Stop
can
all
apply
scheduled
damage
posts and
control
social ads
efforts.
until
So
there is a
are
proper
third-party
plan in place.
organizations that
The last thing a brand
focus
wants to
on this,
happen is
and
giving
there are
off the
tools to
impression
use
that
that
the
can
agenda is to
scan
promote
and
the product
monitor
and increase bottom
the
line
web
in the midst of
and
an
social media
emergency.
sites for mentioned
This is especially important if there is a
organizations
responsibility to
being
keep the public
so that
informed.
an organization
Taking
can
action in the
react
form of being
appropriately. For
human,
example,
informative, and tonally
if someone
appropriate
is
can ensure
tweeting
that a brand has
at a
some
company,
influence on steering the direction in
Comcast is a frequent
conversation.
one that this occurs
Crisis
to,
planning should be a
and
part of any social media
issues they
engagement
have, then
strategy.
that company needs to have
I'd
someone
like
on
to
social
conclude
media
with
to
2
get
quick
on
examples of
and
good and bad
respond
social media
in
customer
time
service and crisis
appropriately
management in action. The first bad example
those
occurred with
complaints.
United Airlines when Flight 3411 was announced as
Organizations
overbooked.
also need
The
to
company
have
decided to
a
choose
very
passengers
stringent
randomly.
policy
2
for
passengers left and
employees,
1 refused. He said he was a doctor and needed to get to his patients. When he refused to leave the plane, he was forcefully dragged from his seat and struck in the process. The crisis started when a cell phone recording of the incident was published on social media. The statement on the right is the CEO's apology for having to reaccommodate the customer. This statement provoked a new wave of crisis. United's social media audience accused them of being disrespectful and misidentifying the cause of the problem. United was aware of the crisis, quick to respond, acknowledged their responsibility in keeping the public informed, but failed to remain sensitive, informative, and tonally appropriate in their actions.
Business applications of
And finally, a good example of crisis management. Earlier this year, GitLab's developers accidentally removed clients' data from their database. Several backup attempts failed, and GitLab.com was unavailable for 18 hours. The crisis started the moment GitLab announced the issue through social media. They gave a detailed explanation on how they planned to fix it, and after the incident was solved, they published the lessons they learned. The issue was so serious that GitLab asked the professional community for help. They restored access to the data in a live format so that everyone could participate.
Businesses.
In conclusion, I'd like to review the main components of successful social media customer service and crisis management.
It also allows
For successful customer service, it's important to be where customers already are. Listen to them and gather information on what they're talking about, and respond timely and correctly. A similar set of steps can be applied to crisis management. Acknowledge the crisis, understand and implement the crisis plan, and take appropriate action. Thank you for listening.
Data mining is the practice of searching through large amounts of data generated through big data's process. And
Hello everyone, my name is Maria Johnson and I will be discussing the business application of social media for customer service and crisis management. To begin, I'd like to start with the history of customer service, and I could go all the way back to the 1800s with the invention of the telephone, but I will fast forward to the 70s and 80s with the breakthrough of IVR. IVR stands for Interactive Voice Response, and this is essentially the automated voices we still hear today. In 1989, call center outsourcing was finally considered a formal customer service strategy, although the idea actually originated in the 60s. Outsourcing customer service operations became standard practice for companies searching for cost-effective strategies. By 1996, the Internet had been around for about 5 years, and Internet use and instant messaging had grown enough to allow businesses to utilize email and one-on-one chat to personally interact with customers. In the early 2000s, customer support software began to emerge, and by 2008, customer-oriented businesses saw an opportunity through social media to connect with both happy and unhappy customers in a more personal and very public manner.
Media feeds into big data,
This opportunity through social media has become more than just a platform for marketing, and advertising, and PR, and corporate communication. According to the 2016 Sprout Social Index, 90% of surveyed consumers have used social media in some way to communicate with a brand. Over a third of them said they preferred social media to the traditional channels like phone and email. Social media is one of the most public ways that a brand will interact with people online. Followers will be vocal, and prospective customers will be watching and making decisions about whether they'd like to do business. To show just how big of an impact social media has on a brand and its consumers are these surprising statistics. 67% of companies believe that social customer service should be a major short-term priority. 40 to 20% is how much more consumers are willing to spend once they've had a positive interaction with a brand. And 60% of consumers who use social media for customer service expect a response in an hour or less. And by 2020, 90% of all customer service will be on social media.
There is some risk. Social media can
So the name of the game is customer service through social media. One of the first challenges to providing great customer service is determining where to focus time and resources. While marketing efforts may drive traffic to targeted social sites, customer service teams must meet their customers where they're already socializing. Once they know where customers are, listen to them. Depending on how much volume a brand's social media generates, it's an important part of the job to collect and analyze activity so that the company may understand the kind of issues being raised. Speaking of that volume, tracking and managing it will affect the ability to keep track of social inquiries. And finally, time is of the essence. Speed of response is critical, but speed isn't everything if a company cannot resolve